everybody, welcome to my homestead and welcome to my channel. In this video, I want to comment on this short video. This is of Elder Bednar in Chile in 2016. And the title of this is on Called to Share, so it's just a little clip. But the title of it is, Elder Bednar says, you don't have to die to find out where you'll go on the day of judgment. Okay. This was actually shared to me by Isis Hickman via email. Again, I'm far back on my emails, so if I haven't responded to yours yet, don't worry about it. I'll eventually get to it. So I want to comment on this and just give you a brief summary of what he said. Before I do, I wanted to share something from the Israel 365 guys that I spoke to. I spoke to Rabbi Michelle Eliezer. He's not the one that I interviewed. I talked to him initially before I did the interview with Adam, and he asked if I would be interested in this, basically this what's it called, email subscription to just like free emails giving insights. It says here, never go a day without getting insight from the Israel Bible. What's the Israel Bible? Okay. So again, this is with Israel 365, but they have like a separate website for this. The Israel Bible is the world's first Tanakh, which is the Old Testament. It's the world's first Tanakh centered around the land of Israel, the people of Israel, and the dynamic relationship between them. Designed for both Jewish and non-Jewish readers alike, the Israel Bible offers a unique commentary that seeks to explain God's focus on the land of Israel alongside original Hebrew text, transliteration of select Hebrew verses, and the New Jewish Publication Society translation. Throughout this website, you'll find commentaries that highlight verses that relate to Israel, including relevant quotes and perspectives from prime ministers, as well as abundant maps, charts, and videos. So there's a whole website, but you can sign up for their email thing and just get insights. Now, of course, we have our own doctrine, right? This would be, there's probably a lot that we have in common with Judaism. I know that there is. You know that there is. But you still want to be careful. Just like I've said in many other videos, you want to make sure you understand our doctrine first before you adopt any other points of view. So you come across something, you're not sure where the church stands, go look it up, find it out, and then, but I think it's good to study how Jews think and what they believe, so that we can have a better understanding with them, better relationship, and just study this. And they may have some insights that maybe we haven't considered before. So with this email, it says here, from the source, full text of Hebrew scriptures in English and Hebrew with select transliterated verses, all about Israel, unique Israel-focused commentary on every chapter. Learn Hebrew, and my last video was about that, how I'm gonna learn Hebrew. Proper Hebrew pronunciation of key biblical names and places. Simple and easy. The Israel Bible comes. Oh, this is talking about the Israel Bible. But anyway, I'm sure that the emails would also include similar insights and stuff like that. They also have a thing here called Join the Tribe. You have to pay for this, but you get additional, like a lot of benefits along with this. So if you have the money, you're interested to learn more about Israel, Judaism, then you have this. Okay. So really cool. Okay, now, oh, and by the way, you can also, if you're interested in looking at the Hebrew Bible, like in the original Hebrew, you can also go to Sefaria.org. So there's lots of different versions, like different translations. And when I say translations, I mean to English, the transliteration. So this one, for example, is the JPS 1985. So, but if you're looking to study Hebrew, learn pronunciation, this is a good way to do it, because they have these dots right here called the nikud, like these little dots and stuff like that, to help you know what the vowels are in between the consonants. In modern Hebrew, you only really find this in like scriptural text, like religious text, or children use it when they're learning to read and write, um, poetry, stuff like that. But anyway, it has the nikud here, so this can help you with learning pronunciation of certain words. Okay, now let's go back to Elder Bednar and what he was saying. I really liked this. I liked it because he basically said, if you're somebody in the church that you find it hard to keep the commandments, you don't really like it, you struggle because it's like, oh, why can't we do this? Or, I really like, this that they do in the world. Basically, on Judgment Day, that's what you're going to get. You're going to get what your heart desires. If in reality, even though you're a member of the church, you've been baptized, you've gone to the temple, you've been sealed, whatever. If inside really what you like is the things of the world, you don't really like the gospel, then that's what you'll get afterwards. But if you're someone that does love the gospel, like you read it, you love it, you take it to heart, and you're like, yeah, this is great. And there's a lot to the gospel. There's a lot of commandments, right? But if I think about, for example, let's go to the Sermon on the Mount, scriptures, New Testament, Matthew. I don't know exactly where it starts. Here we go. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. So right here, the Savior is saying that being meek is a good thing. And if you find it hard to be meek, like you you view meekness as weakness, you think that instead the way that you should be in life is strong. You should be, other people should be listening to you, or whatever, or, oh, that person, they don't have anything to teach me, or everything that's associated with meekness. Then that may be a problem. That may be a problem because your heart, in this instance, is with another idea, another philosophy. But we should seek to be meek. And look at this. Blessed are they which do hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled. And that is true. That is absolutely true. And I know people in the church. I know people in the church that do not hunger and thirst after righteousness. It's more like they despise it, or they put up with it, or it's like it's a chore. It's just like something that you have to do. It's like, oh yeah, you got to do that if you're going to be LDS. You have to do this and this and this, and this is what's expected of you. That is really not a good place to be when it comes to you and final judgment. Because if you read these things, meek, merciful, pure in heart, peacemakers, and you're like, yes, more of that, then I think you're on the right path. Okay, because you clearly believe in these principles, right? And these are things that go against the natural man. Mercy, that's not something that happens in this fallen world with the law of the jungle. If you're living according to the law of the jungle, there is no mercy. You get revenge, or you earn something, and without consideration for how it affects others, you do what you do, not caring about others. I think care is a really important word. Where your care is at. if you're someone that cares or someone that doesn't care. And, listen for that whenever you watch TV shows or just in real life. Listen to when people say that they care and don't care. Because I think someone that's spiritually dead, they don't care. They don't care about things. Um, except for, of course, maybe themselves. So, anyway, what Elder Bednar basically says is that if this is what you like, mercy, like being merciful, being pure in heart, being a peacemaker, um, just all these things, being a light to the world, being humble, loving, right? Putting God before yourself. If that's what you like, then that's what you'll get after this life. You belong with that group of people, right? And in the New Testament, especially, you hear about the scribes, rabbis, lawyers, so forth, people that, and I'm not saying that all of them were bad, because not all of them were, but you had a portion of them that, they did everything right according to the law, but inside, they weren't doing it for the right reasons. They were doing it either because, they benefited socially from it. Maybe they got more power, control, influence, admiration, validation, and those are not the right reasons to follow the commandments, because you have another motive. You're not focused on what the commandments are given to you for. The commandments are to help you become more like God, because as you obey the commandments, you learn what it's like to be God. These are the laws that He abides by, and these are the laws that make for a perfect society. If everyone lived the gospel, you would have a perfect society, and we call that Zion, right? The pure in heart, and that's actually what we're trying to strive for. Um, as we wait for the second coming, we're trying to build that society in preparation for the second coming. So that's what the gospel is. And, people, they join the church for all sorts of reasons. They join the church for all sorts of reasons. Again, I've talked about this many times on the channel. If you're someone that lives in a high LDS population area, like Utah, parts of Arizona, Idaho, places like that, uh, yeah, you might be a member of the church, but you may only go to church because that's how you grew up, and it's just like a social thing. All your friends are members of the church, your family. So you basically just do it in order to fit in, right? You do it to fit in. You do it because there might be social benefits to it. It's like, and I think I put it on my resume, and I've seen other people. I think I've seen other people put it on their resume, like just like how if you get your Eagle in Boy Scouts, you put that on your resume. The same thing holds true, like if you're a returned missionary. So if you in Utah, if you come home from your mission, you're a returned missionary, you put it on your resume, it could help you potentially in getting a job, especially if it's like a very strong, like a big, like there's a lot of members of the church in that company that you're applying for, right? Anyway, so some people, I think, just they're born into it, and so they just do it because it's culture and it benefits them. Other people may start out as not members of the church, but then they join, but they join for other reasons. You know, uh, there are predators out there. I'm telling you, there are predators out there, and they look at people, and not just with our church. They look at a church, and churches are places where you find good people that want to help, and they want to care about you and stuff like that, and they want to help you. And so a predator looks at that, and they're like, you know what? Okay, I've been doing this for a while. Why don't we go ahead and try this? You have this bunch of dopes that I can go and take advantage of, right? And so they do it. They join a church. They join our church, and they do it because they know that there's people there that will help them in whatever it is that they're trying to achieve, or they just have a ready group of people that they can call upon to help them with things. And that's not to say that we wouldn't do it, even if we knew what you were doing. We would still help, but that's another reason why people do it. Some people do it because they want to get married to you, right? You're somebody that is a faithful member of the church. You date somebody that is not, and you have a really good relationship, and that other person, they may be genuine, and they really do want it. They really do love you, or they may be fake, and they want to get married for other reasons. That's a whole topic in itself. But regardless of who the other person is, they may marry you simply, or they may join the church simply so that they can marry you. And in fact, if my memory serves me right, that's what the movie My Big Fat Greek Wedding, what happened in there is you had this Greek American girl that married a guy, and then he converted to Greek Orthodox so that he could marry her, right? So anyway, the list goes on and on. There's other situations where it might happen. There's other situations. Well, it may be here's another one. It may be that you're somebody that you do, Catholicism really well. You have a knack for Catholicism, or you might be someone that has a knack for doing LDS really well. And so, if you're someone that where you're looking for attention, praise, validation, you're just wanting attention from others, then you may do it just for that reason. It's like, hey, I do this pretty good, And when I say do it, I don't mean actually doing it for the right reasons. You have the appearance of doing it really good. And so that person may be like, you know what, I'm going to do this. This is my thing. This is going to be my facade. And so therefore, whatever. So, what really matters is what's in your heart, and if you in reality hunger and thirst for righteousness, you can't get enough of it. And I think that's probably what the majority of you are looking for, and that's why you're part of this, second coming community where we're watching for the signs of the times. Because a lot of us are hungering and thirsting for a world that is better than the one that we live in terms of righteousness. You set aside all the other things, the earth becoming receiving its paradisiacal glory, being translated, stuff like that. A lot of us are looking forward to it because we just want to be surrounded by good people. Because we don't like the world. We don't like it. We don't like Babylon. And, there's members of the church that do like Babylon. And you can tell. You can tell because they dress like Babylon. They laugh like Babylon. They dance. They speak. They do everything like Babylon, and yet they're LDS. Probably like one of the best metaphors that I ever heard from I think my favorite apostle of all time, Neil A. Maxwell. He talked about how there's saints that have, their primary residence in Zion, but they still have a summer cottage in Babylon. And it's really sad because, to me, what that indicates is, again, that the primary residence, quote unquote, in Zion is more of just a facade. It's more of just like a model home, but what they really enjoy is being in Babylon. That's kind of like what they fantasize of. That's truly where their heart is. That's truly what they want to do and what they want to be. Um, and a lot of people have had to basically make a decision as the years have gone by, because things become more and more divided, right? It's no longer possible, really, to have one foot in one camp or one foot in another. It's getting too wide. The gap is getting too wide, so you have to pick one or the other. And I've personally seen a lot of people do this, and they, thankfully, there's been plenty that have stayed with Zion, but I've seen a lot that have made the move to Babylon. And when I go back and I look at my history with them, what I've observed, with a lot of them, you could already tell ahead of time. It wasn't really a secret. You knew that they really reveled in and enjoyed Babylon. And so when the time came that they could no longer do both, oh, surprise, but not really, they went with Babylon. So, what we really need, what you really need to do, I think, is look at what you care about, and find those desires, the desire for righteousness. And if you cultivate that desire, then you'll naturally do, righteous. You'll do righteous things, and you'll hunger and thirst for righteousness. It's just like faith, starting as a seed. It's the same thing. You go down to the very, very core of yourself, and that's what you change. And then everything else is just a consequence. All the rest of your actions and everything is a consequence of who you are deep down. And you get to determine that. That's something that you get to determine. I was going to say something else, but it escaped my mind. Oh, yeah. And, it's funny because, when I talked to Adam, the Israeli Jew, the Orthodox Israeli Jew, in that one interview, and if you haven't seen it, make sure to go check it out. When you think about other religions and stuff, some people put a lot of emphasis on, if you choose Christ or not. And that's true. You do need to choose Christ, but the good people of the world, the ones who outside the church are seeking for and hungering for righteousness, I don't think it's going to be a thing where it's like, oh, sorry, you didn't choose the right answer, because of who they are, whether in this life or in the spirit world, they will choose Christ. The problem is, in this world, there's a lot of history, there's a lot of tradition, there's a lot of deceptions, the craftiness of men, and people can be genuinely deceived. But just because you've been deceived, if you really want to, if you value truth, then you'll pick whatever the truth is. It's kind of like, I think I was talking to him about how, what we need to do is we need to discover the Lord, the true God, and then conform to what the truth is and what God wants for you. People who value truth, that's what they do, because the truth is the truth. And it can be hard, especially if you grow up a certain way, you have a certain set of beliefs. But if you're someone that values truth, you will do it one way or another, whether it's this life or the next life. And when I say the next life, I mean the spirit world. Because we know that not everybody had the chance to receive the fullness of the gospel in this life. And it doesn't really make sense that the Lord would be like, "Oh, sorry, it sucks to be you. You were born um, in the year 800 in India or China or someplace like that." So no, it's not going to work like that. It's not going to work like that. Um, so and that's one thing that kind of disturbs me a little bit about uh, the rest of Christianity, especially evangelicals. It's like they act as though all you have to do is just guess the right answer, and as soon as you do, that's it. You're good. You're good. And no, it's not about guessing or being in the right place at the right time or being. Of course, they would say that it's like all been predetermined by God, which essentially robs you of your agency, right? It's just like, oh, so everything's just predetermined. Okay. Um, no. We know that everyone who truly at heart is a good person, loves truth, loves God, they're going to make it to the right place. And you do have to accept Christ as the Savior and make covenants in order to receive exaltation, right? To achieve the highest degree that you can, you have to do those things. But I really don't think it's going to be a problem for those who are truly searching for the truth and love the principles of righteousness, like being meek, being as a child, um, not lying, not deceiving people, but living in truth, not manipulating people, not murdering, and just all of the different commandments, right? So, um, I would encourage you to watch this by Elder Bednar. It's really good. It's basically just that. Like I just gave a much longer version of it, but he basically just said, whatever your desires are, that's what you're going to get. You know, you could be a Latter-day Saint, but you're not really living those laws in your heart, the laws of the celestial kingdom and the gospel. Um, so, just be aware that, um, be aware of people that fake it, because sometimes, and we've read this before. This is when we were studying um, Priestcraft. I did a video about Priestcraft, and I want to say it was Spencer W. Kimball. I can't remember, but it was at least a member of the Quorum of the 12 at the very least. But he said that he worries about people who, when they're talking about spiritual things, the tears flow too freely. And what he's saying by that is it's not bad to cry when you're feeling a spiritual experience. It's not bad. But some people, okay, there's the genuine people who are actually having a real emotional experience, and then you have the fakers who are putting on a show. They want you to look at them and be like, wow, he or she is really spiritual. Just look at that. Look how deeply that touched that person. No, fake, right? And we can't really judge, but you kind of can a little bit. Like, it's not for us to judge somebody by like where they're going to end up after this life. But you can tell when someone's not being genuine. At the very least, you can tell when someone is not being genuine. You look at people, and testimony meeting, I love it. It's kind of a bittersweet experience. Um, Sweet because you have genuine people that get up and give their testimonies, and it's great. But bitter because you have fakers that get up and quote unquote give their testimonies. And usually they're once you kind of realize what's going on or why they're doing it, it's actually kind of cringy, and you cringe because they make their testimonies or their stories elaborate. Um, they're showing off. They're putting on a show, or they're just showing you just how spiritual they are. And there've been like things put out before, guidance put out by the general authorities, the first presidency, about like, hey, with testimonies, you guys, it's not a travel log. It's not long stories. It's letting people know what you believe and what you know is true. It's not like an opportunity for you to go up and show everybody who you are. And some people use it that way. You know that they do. um, there was one time. Now, this wasn't in testimony meeting. This was no, yeah, it was. It was in testimony meeting. So I was in a ward that I was kind of in a affluent area, and this lady gets up, this sister gets up, and she's like, "Hi, I'm so and so, and in case you don't know my family, I know most of you know me, but in case there's some people that are here that are new, this is my family. My husband is a pilot, and I have these two children that are going to BYU. I have another one that's in Africa doing a service project, building schools for African children, and blah blah blah." And basically, she was just like getting up and telling everybody how awesome her family was, to show everybody just the caliber of her family. And it was so unnecessary. And I've never I've never seen anything like that before. I've never in my life felt the need to be like, "Oh, are there any new people here? I better get up in front of everybody just so that these new people know." I would just like, first of all, I wouldn't be concerned with that, but that's if you really needed the new people to know, you just like go meet the new people, be interested in the new people, who they are, and then as a natural, uh, naturally, organically, they'll find out who you are, you know. But it's pride. That's what it comes down to. It's pride. It's showing off. It's looking for validation, because a lot of these people that are spiritually dead, they're not really capable of regulating their own feelings of self-worth. And so they look for other people to do it for them. So yeah, they have to, they choose a facade, a costume, and then they have to get you to look at the costume and admire it, right? And then once you do that, then that's like what they're after. Then they feel good about themselves. Yeah, testimony meeting is not for you to go up and show how awesome your family is, right? Or show how affluent you are. Because then it's like, oh wow, you must make a lot of money, and wow. You guys really value education. Um, just as a side note, another thing I really don't like, I really don't like, is when in testimony meeting you have somebody go up and they were like in Hawaii. You know, if you're a native Hawaiian, I think it's fine. You know, it's fine. But if you're like a white person or you're not a native Hawaiian, please don't do this. The whole thing where like you get up and then you're like, aloha, brothers and sisters, and then everybody else is supposed to just be like, aloha. I don't know if everyone's had that experience in the church, but I have been victim to it a few times, and it's always really cringy. Not when it comes from a native Hawaiian, because that's really genuinely their culture. And even then, it's probably not appropriate to do it all the time. I don't know their culture. I don't know if it's like a common thing in Hawaii for the Hawaiian saints to like do that every time they get up. But over here, where there's not natives, and the person doing that is not a native, it's cringy. Let me look up this YouTube video. There's okay, let's see. White family does the HAKA. Oh, here it is. Oh my gosh, this is the cringiest thing I have ever seen in my entire life.
All right, Kelly.
So this is on Family Feud, and this family introduces themselves by doing the HAKA. See, they're not Polynesian. They're doing the HAKA. The HAKA is that thing that I don't know if it's Tongans or Samoans or both, but you know it. You know, it's a thing where it's like a warrior type thing, and it's like, you guys don't do that. No one thinks that it's cool. It would be cool if it was actual Polynesians that are doing it, because that comes from their culture. But for some random reason, and I know the reason, it's because they wanted to impress. They wanted to be cool. They wanted attention. They didn't have the self-awareness that, oh, wait a minute, this is going to look cringy to other people because we're not Polynesian. So it was, oh my gosh. So that, so okay, I'm gonna just stop with that. Okay, we're going on about 40 minutes. I'm just gonna wrap this up. Be pure of heart. Go down to the very core, and that's where you need to make the changes. And when you do that, everything else will happen as a natural consequence of that change. And I really think that at the very core, that's going to be mostly what determines your judgment. Because if you change the core of yourself, then you will do all the right things, enter in the covenants that you need to, accept Christ as the Savior, and live worthily. It starts at the core. Change the core. And if at the core it's not aligned with the gospel, then you probably have a problem. It doesn't matter if you're going to church. It doesn't matter what calling you have. If you don't really like doing it, then you're probably going to go with the other people that don't like doing it. So it's just that easy. Okay, that's going to be it for this one. So if you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe, like this video if you liked it, leave your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. Also make sure to share it, and I'll talk to you guys later.